Welcome back. This is Wednesday's episode. I've lost a couple of days. On Sunday, I began feeling a bit off. This happened in the middle of editing Monday's video, and I didn't get that one finished. Still felt way off the next day, and I didn't do anything at all on Monday. So no Tuesday video, and I am sorry about that. As of Tuesday, the day I edit for Wednesday, I am feeling better, but not quite up to putting together a whole new episode. So I'm going to slick up one from before. I'll make sure it has a song and a quote. I appreciate your prayers. And here we go. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 1st. October 1st is the 274th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 275th in leap years, with 91 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is Widdershins. Widdershins. Merriam-Webster says Widdershins is an adverb. It describes moving in a direction opposite to what's normal, against the way, or in an opposite direction, like going counterclockwise instead of clockwise. For example, it was considered unlucky to walk counterclockwise, or Widdershins, around a church. That would be walking around the church with the church to your left. In the past, it was often linked to folklore and superstitions. People believed going Widdershins went against the natural order of things and could even be a little bit magical or mischievous. We're likely to find the word Widdershins in old stories or magical traditions where walking around something in this unusual way might be thought to break spells or cause harm. In the 1814 fairy tale, Childe Roland, for example, which, by the way, was transcribed from an old Scottish ballad the author had heard, some children were playing with a ball near a church. One of the children, Childe Roland, kicked the ball over the church. His sister, Bird Ellen, inadvertently went around the church Widdershins, meaning that she went counterclockwise with the church on her left, and she disappeared. Roland learned that she had been taken to Elfland. One by one, the other two brothers tried to go retrieve her, but they didn't return either, leaving Roland to go rescue them all. It's quite an adventure. Roland is ultimately successful in rescuing his sister and brothers, and when they return to this reality, Bird Ellen never circled a church Widdershins again. I wouldn't either. Several adaptations of the tale exist, and I've included a link to one of them. Back to Widdershins, though, it means going in a left-handed counterclockwise way, contrary to the sun's course, and is considered unlucky if done around a church, although other uses of going Widdershins might not be so unlucky. The etymology of the word Widdershins indicates that it was mainly Scottish in usage, where it meant contrary to the course of the sun or clock, which was considered unlucky, but it may have come from an old German word or phrase that meant in the opposite direction or against the way. First known use of the word Widdershins is in the 1500s. Widdershins. Yosemite National Park was established by the United States Congress on October 1st, 1890. The first game of the Modern World Series was played on October 1st, 1903. It was the Boston Americans versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates won the first game 7-3, but this was a best-of-9 series, and the Boston team prevailed 5-3. They actually won the last 4 of the series. On October 1st, 1908, the Ford Motor Company began offering the Model T for sale at the price of $825. That sounds really cheap today, doesn't it? Well, it kind of is, or was, shall I say. The inflation calculator I use only goes back to 1913, so there may be some adjustment required, but that $825, as calculated from 1913, would be about $26,233 today. a difference of 3,079.8%. Yikes. American drummer, songwriter, and producer Al Jackson Jr. was born November 27, 1935 in Memphis, Tennessee. His dad, Al Jackson Sr., led a jazz swing band in Memphis. Al Jr. began playing with his dad on gigs when he was as young as 5 years old. He only got better from there. He was given the nickname of the Human Timekeeper due to his drumming ability. Future bandmates Steve Cropper and Donald Duck Dunn heard Al playing at a gig, and they soon came to a consensus that Stax Records needed to get Al on board as a session musician. Besides playing with Booker T and the MGs, he also co-wrote songs and played as a session drummer for the likes of, oh my goodness, so many great music stars: Elvis Presley, Leon Russell, Aretha Franklin, just to name a few. There was a year or two in the 70s that the members of Booker T and the MGs had been working on other things, and in 1975 they decided to wrap up their individual projects and get back together as a band. Al was scheduled to fly from Memphis to Detroit to do a session when he heard a reminder on the radio about the big Joe Frazier-Muhammad Ali Thrilla in Manila fight, and decided to postpone his travels so he could watch the fight on the big screen at the Coliseum. Upon his return home, he was confronted by intruders who murdered him. His estranged, soon-to-be ex-wife presented it to the police as a home invasion robbery gone wrong, but there were several suspicious factors around that whole mess. For one thing, no valuables were taken. Al's wallet and jewelry were still on him. The police found nothing out of place in the house. The wife had tried to harm him in a pretty serious way just a couple months earlier, but he had refused to press charges. But he was in the process of seeking a divorce. And finally, the suspected murderer was the boyfriend of the wife's friend. Suspicious all the way around. In any case, the music world lost an amazing drummer on October 1st, 1975. Al Jackson Jr. was only 39 years old at the time of his passing. Now we have a playlist of episodes for this day in history, as well as a playlist of single subjects called How About That? And words of the day in a playlist called There's a Word for That, and I'll leave links to those playlists for you. Usually when I think of Booker T and the MGs, I think of their iconic signature song, Green Onions, and that is the song title that popped up for me as I was researching and writing about Al Jackson Jr., but the actual song that played in my head was this one, Time is Tight. It was released in 1969, which surprised me a little bit because I thought the song was older than that. A slightly longer, faster tempo version of Time is Tight appears on their soundtrack album Uptight, which was made for a movie of the same name. Time is Tight was Booker T and the MG's second biggest hit, reaching number 6 on the Billboard Pop charts. Time is Tight by Booker T and the MGs. Link in the description. How about that? For today's quote, we have a particularly good one from cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead, who said, "Children must be taught how to think, not what to think." Margaret Mead. I'd have to agree with her on that one. Alrighty, everyone. Y'all take care. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlists in the description. You can find me on BitChute, Facebook, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, and X, as well as on a blog page called No Really. No Really. No Really. Consider following my Day in History page on Facebook if you're on Facebook. I also have a Patreon account now, or you can buy me a coffee. All those links are in the description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.